All right, everybody, welcome in. We got another reaction video. What's happening, brother? You ready
What's up,
for
man?
this?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a good one.
I was gonna say we got some good videos lined up, all
A
relevant.
lot of stuff going on. Jeez.
I'm gonna say all relevant, all good talking points, and I'm sure you guys have all heard of some of these situations that are going on, but I think we got a pretty unique perspective.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and see what we're bringing up here. Should we just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're starting with the one and only David Wilcox.
Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace. Those who have not heard, apparently,
Yeah, give a little backstory.
He apparently committed suicide. This video was taken 2 days before that suicide. So let's see what he has to say. Oh, I got to click over here.
Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. Every day that I have on earth is...
But life is a blessing, according to David Wilcox. So, and anybody who's wondering why he may have been suicided or why all these other scientists...
Unalived, as they say.
Unalived,
Yeah.
That's the right word. Why that may be the case, here's another video of David Wilcox.
Shout out to B. Dell.
Yeah, shout out to B. Dell, somebody we'd like to collaborate with in the future.
Yep.
David Wilcox is going to speak directly in this video talking about them potentially unaliving him.
And why they would unalive him.
Yeah, so...
One reason.
This is just one reason of the potentially many.
Yep.
But let's hear what he's got to say.
David Wilcox, he knew the truth about black people. He understood that there was a metaphysical symbiotic connection between black people's DNA and how it's able to interface with these ultra-terrestrials who are interdimensional, outer-dimensional, extraterrestrial entities that come from a different star system, which are basically the same entities that the 12 scientists were also talking about, the ones that came up missing. So there's a metaphysical connection to everything that's taking place when it comes to the unaliving of David Wilcox and the 12 scientists missing. Now, here's a video back from 2012 where David Wilcox said verbatim that he will be unalived for putting out information talking about Simeon Toko, a man who had the abilities of Jesus, a man from Africa. And he said that he will be unalived for putting out this information inside of his book.
The crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, it was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway. The story was that this guy, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and split up his body into a whole bunch of pieces. These very like radioactive shielded containers, and then all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to the corners of the world. And these containers turn them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices.
Now, when you get into the esoterics and the conspiracy of it, David Wilcox, he died on 4/20 at age 53. So from April 20th all the way up until the time of June 12th of 2026, that's 53 days apart exactly. And that's when the movie Disclosure Day comes out on June 12th. So from June 12th all the way back to April 20th is exactly 53 days apart, and David Wilcox was unalived at age 53. There's an esoteric connection with that. And then when you look at the movie cover of Disclosure Day, it's the same deer that was on Leave the World Behind. So there's a metaphysical connection with that.
All right. What do you think? I think you're more familiar with a lot of David Wilcox.
Yeah,
you've probably seen him more than I have. I mean,
he
I've
was
seen him in
a
few
regular
different
guest
things.
on Gaia, and he narrated the movie Above Majestic that I showed you. Very influential in the ufologist field. He had a lot of knowledge, and he had a lot of experience with not only esoteric things, but multidimensional beings and UFO just all that stuff. And I don't know. It hurts my soul to see him passing because it's like he knew, and there's nothing he could do about it. I'm proud that he stood his ground and he released this information and he talked about it all the time. But it's just like, we as a society can't continue to let this stuff happen. You know, like we need to take a stand. We need to share his story, and we need to not be okay with this stuff because, if somebody like him could be taken out, I mean, who's to say they can't just do that to anybody and everyone? Because they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm still pretty hurt by it. He was a great dude. I've watched a lot of his stuff, and I know the community in general is very sad to see him gone. So
yeah. Well, what's interesting is even like some of the mainstream sources are covering all of the another UFOologist has disappeared or has been killed, and you see it even in mainstream sources about why are all these people disappearing, right? So it's not like they're trying to hide
it necessarily, but they think because we have been so dulled down and so programmed to these things happening that people will just go about with their everyday life. And maybe that is for the majority true, but for guys like us and B. Dell and people like David Wilcox and his profession, like that's not true. I mean, all they're doing is just giving us a reason to talk about it more, to be aware of the situations that are going on, and it's not normal. A lot of these people that have been missing are deceased, are young. They're up and coming scientists, and they're working on great anti-gravity stuff. And it doesn't surprise me that they're taking them out because what's going to be happening here? Disclosure. They don't want us to know how these things work because if we got that technology, then we don't need them.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and the historical precedences too. Is anybody? You look at what they did to Nikola Tesla. How they destroyed his career, reputation. Look at what they did to all the people who built the water cars, or they build different technologies.
All these things that can better mankind, unless they have a grip on it and can control it, they're not going to let us use it because they'll lose control of their machine, of their energy harvesting machine, and it's just sad.
Yeah.
Just sad.
Because that's what the new technology, not even new technology, but remembering the technology, it prevents that energy harvesting and it puts power back into people's hands, which is something David Wilcock would advocate for.
Oh, definitely.
So it is kind of sad to see that. And even in China, they're disappearing scientists.
See what I mean?
It's the same thing.
And I'm sure this isn't just stuck to the United States. I think that this is happening all over the world because they're getting ready to disclose this stuff, and they don't need any loose ends so people can come out and talk about how this stuff is really working.
Right, exactly. Well, and I guess we can move on to our next video here.
Yeah.
We're talking a little bit about this was yesterday?
Last night at the correspondence dinner at this was at a motel, hotel, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
They tried to shoot Trump again.
Apparently. That's what they said. So
allegedly.
This is potentially a motive behind why they're doing it.
Yep.
Trump just used this active shooting to plug his ballroom. So we found the motive for him staging this performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We found the motive. Of course, he would slip in, well, actually, if we were at the White House ballroom, the security would have been in tip-top shape, and no one would have been able to get in with a weapon. Which is actually mostly basic protocol for a security guard, you would think. So, the fact that they didn't have even a bouncer, it feels like, there. This is so staged. It's so staged. And here's the fucking motive. He's gonna do anything to get that bunker. Well,
that is exactly the truth. Before we move on to the next video, I want to just say, I saw before even seeing this video, the tweets from all the different conservative pro-Trump influencers. Somebody put an image together of all of them side by side. And the first reaction on all of these pro-Trump influencers was, we need a White House ballroom. This is why we need a ballroom.
Why do they need it so bad?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I personally don't know, but I know Trump has been pushing for it. Now, my guess is that on the surface, it's just we can have a ballroom and do events like this. But my guess is there is an ulterior motive. You know, she called it a bunker. Maybe they create it as like a bunker, and it's some sort of
hideaway for them to be down when they try to push their agenda. I don't know.
Yeah.
What I do know is the fact that when it happened, you know, SWAT team rolled in like they were on standby.
Yep.
It really goes to show that like anything and everything can happen in this stage, on the stage, you know. It's very scary to think that we live in a day and age where a president can have an assassination attempt 3 times on his life, and like that's almost like the norm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like it's okay.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, do I believe that the guy was actually going to shoot anybody in there? I don't think there was any way he could get through there.
No. No.
It wouldn't have mattered where they were at. The security around, there was 6. So there was the president, vice president, secretary of defense, secretary of the state. The 6 people in line to run the country, if anything had happened to one another, were all there.
Yeah.
No one was doing nothing to that place. Mm-hmm. Guy just darted in there, had a couple guns on him, which I don't know even how he got, but, you know, whatever. It's just, I believe this chick, you know, that's my own opinion. I do believe all these things are staged to distract us from the real things going on, just like they always have been. So.
Yeah, and I saw that there's a lot of connections to this guy potentially being an MK Ultra victim.
Yeah, would not surprise me.
He was this like brilliant engineering student and this and that, and then he gets all radicalized, and so he kind of takes the similar path as to all of these other previous people who supposedly go and commit these types of offenses. So
shit doesn't surprise me at all.
I think there's some MK Ultra connections in there, most likely.
This next video is was kind of the narrative with Donald Trump and kind of things we should be aware of. So let's
something he's supposedly posted
something
up.
He posted up on his True Social.
Well, at least he didn't post himself as Jesus again. No, just getting his face painted with blood as he chanted what seemed to be like some kind of demonic spell. Love to hear from the witches out there. I mean, everybody's saying that it was gibberish. They ran it backwards through ChatGPT, and it was actually German for halt, and it still didn't make any sense. So there's a video that went up, and then others are trying to make an excuse that somebody else posted on his timeline. And it's like, come on, I mean, he's the president of the United States of America. And yet people can post crazy shit like this on his timeline, and we just call it a regular fucking day? Holy shit.
Okay, we need to have a really serious conversation, and I need all hands on deck when it comes to witch talk. What is he saying in this video? And yes, he really posted this the other night on his True Social and apparently took it down right away, but this is fucking scary. First of all, help. Second of all, this is how we end up with tinfoil hats permanently on our motherfucking heads. That was absolutely some kind of incantation. I need someone to translate for us. Is it another language? I mean, help. I tried to Google the phonetics, and there was like an African god that was kind of close, Ashaka. But again, I don't know if that's really what he's saying in that video. Like, what the fuck? Y'all, do you remember when they got mad about Obama's tan suit? I would pay all of the money in my bank account, which, to be honest with you, isn't much, but like all of it, to go back there to that time when things were normal. You can talk shit about politeness and decorum as much as you want to. I don't want my president posting shit like that. That is fucking scary, dude.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy one.
So the first thing that came to my mind, for everybody out there that's watched Harry Potter, and when Harry Potter battled the snake kid.
The serpent. It was like the
what's his name? Draco or
no, not Draco. It's
the blonde-haired kid.
Oh, Draco Malfoy.
Yeah. So when he battled Draco Malfoy, there was a part in the scene where he looked at the snake and did some snake talk, right? And it sounded exactly like that. How it was deep. Now, I almost want to bring up that video of that. Remember that one that we had already, where that guy, his voice was changing like in Reptilian. He was like a politician. Yeah. We have it on a reaction. That blonde girl pops up like, "What the hell?" Remember how his voice sounded?
Yeah,
that's how that kind of sounded. Similarly to that. Yeah, serpenty, dark, demonic. I mean, you take it for what you want, but that gave me chills listening to it. And you know, I have a pretty, strong fortitude and guards up, and that kind of hit home. It was scary.
Yeah, so. I think you're spot on. It almost sounds serpent-like.
Yeah,
like it sounds like it's. I mean, who was it that called? Was it Maria Abramovich's teacher or whoever that called Trump the? Oh yeah, the greatest dark
magician in the world, and it was Rick Owens' wife. I can't think of her name at the moment, but anyways, yeah, she flat out said Donald Trump is the most powerful magician in the world. So
yeah, so I think if there's any doubt, Trump is engaging in occult forces.
Definitely.
That video is all you need. There's a few people in the comments who say it's fake, it wasn't posted. So if you go online and you look this up,
it's taken down.
You're gonna get people who are saying it's fake, who are gonna say it
everybody's
got to
use their own discernment.
Yeah, I think regardless of whether let's say it wasn't even posted, the fact that we can sit here and think like, oh, that's not too far out of line, and that's something he would do,
it's fucked.
That in itself, it's like, all right, because
now we can even compare that shit. We're like, what?
Yeah,
it's scary. It's just scary. So
yeah. I tend to think it probably was posted, and they probably took it down within minutes.
I think so, bro.
They probably took it down within minutes. But I just show you can't get away with anything in this world nowadays. No. Or maybe you can do it and you can get away with it because people aren't going to do anything. But regardless, that's just crazy, absolute insane. Well, let's move into a little bit of Epstein.
Yay.
Mr. Epstein.
Yeah, we haven't forgot about you, mister.
Oh, no. Maybe some of the world has. We haven't.
That's the point.
But this is Jeffrey Epstein's niece, apparently. So let's hear what she has to say.
Jeff Epstein's niece. My father and stepmother had a baby girl in 1991 who was raised by another family. In 1998, they assigned me her birth date on my birth certificate, which they waited 10 years to file, claiming my stepmother was my biological mother. And finally put me in school in the gifted program. You know, my parents were upstanding citizens. My father was a divorce attorney. It goes back for generations. I remember my father confessing that my oldest brother is 8 years younger than him. They told me that we belonged to the cult of Baal. My great-grandfather, according to my father, was Walt Disney. Before he moved to the United States, his name was Artur Bick. And his twin sister, who he had children with, who I am descended from, was named Minnie. That's where we get Mickey and Minnie Mouse. It's very cute, right? Except for when you consider the abuse that I suspect is still happening to children who go into the entertainment industry. I am Jeff Epstein.
Here, we'll jump right into the next video. Yeah. We'll have a good discussion on Mr. Epstein.
I agree.
Everybody's heard of Palm Beach Pete by now, I would assume. So let's compare the two.
All the evidence we have to confirm that Palm Beach Pete is actually Jeffrey Epstein. Starting off with the first and most obvious piece of evidence, that both of them look identical to each other. Here's a side-by-side picture of the both of them, and you literally cannot tell either of them apart. Next, the both of them literally have the same exact teeth. So as you can see right here, this is Jeffrey Epstein's bottom row of teeth. And then if we go ahead and look at Palm Beach Pete's bottom row of teeth, literally identical to Jeffrey Epstein's. Next, in a recent interview, it was actually revealed that Jeffrey Epstein and Palm Beach Pete actually lived in the same areas at the exact same time. So when Jeffrey Epstein was living in New York, so was Palm Beach Pete. And then when Jeffrey Epstein was living in Florida, so was Palm Beach Pete. And when this was brought up, Palm Beach Pete was literally trying to shush the interviewers. And then finally, every single day now, Palm Beach Pete is uploading videos onto social media saying that he is not Jeffrey Epstein. And in a lot of these videos, a lot of people feel like he's actually trying to gaslight us because he really is actually Jeffrey Epstein. Here's all the...
Oh.
So to start off with the first video, look how crazy it is to think that Jeffrey Epstein is related to Walt Disney.
I believe it. I definitely believe it.
And all the scandalous things that they've done and all the stories about both of their paths and what they do to children and their ties to the evil deity Baal and the sacrificial rituals they do with children. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It really does. Their stories intertwine so well together that's why when you're like, I believe it too.
Oh, yeah. I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, you just look at how the entertainment industry or politicians, all these circles, how they are so intertwined, and especially when it comes to somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, who is trafficking children. Well, what do you think?
Where do you think he's getting the kids from?
Yeah, where
in
is
one aspect?
Where's Disney World?
Yeah,
right in Florida. Right,
yeah, man.
So with apparently, and they have a whole bunch of underground tunnels and the whole system there too.
It's already been proven, documented.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is, some people might almost find that far-fetched in a sense. It's like, well, Jeffrey Epstein, how's he only been around the last, 20 or 30 years? But I saw a picture earlier today on Twitter that it was Gerald Ford with a young Jeffrey Epstein when Gerald Ford was president. That was in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this guy has been around for
he literally,
as long as he's been alive.
Yeah, dude. He literally has... There's documentation about Jeffrey Epstein and his passports, right? Mm-hmm. And there's one of these passports that says on the passport that he's like 80 years old or something. It's just weird.
Oh, wow.
And then the fact that how he was positioned into all these groups like the Trilateral Commission, and on Wall Street and being a professor at this prestigious college and all this stuff. There's a reason why he was put into power in all these spots, because he has all these ties and all this background from where he come from. So it just goes to show you that it's not too hard. They found all these dental chairs and there's in the Epstein files, there's actual documents about him calling, plastic surgeons and dentists and all this stuff. You would have thought since he has dentists on payroll, they would at least change his teeth so people couldn't see the fact that he has the same exact jagged old jacked up teeth that are fighting with each other, just weird, man.
I agree. Well, I also think too, maybe the elites, I don't even like to call them elites because they're not higher than us. They're just not. The predator class. That's what I'll call it. The predator class.
Yep.
They can put Palm Beach Pete in our face. They can have all of this information out there because maybe they don't care if we know he's alive at this point. It's because even if he is alive, he might still be doing the same thing. Yeah. And it's just beneath the surface. I mean, it's so obvious that his death was staged, or even whether if he's dead, it wasn't a suicide. If he's alive, which I tend to think he was, there's prison guards who are there who said that, they think they switched the body out and there's security cameras that didn't work. So, I mean.
And the crazy thing, too, I just noticed is looking at you can even spell Pete with Epstein.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly.
He still keeps some of his.
Yeah. Well, and I think it would be easy to live a double life in a sense. Yeah. If they're in the same place, you have one almost like alias you go by just in your day-to-day. Like, this is who I am on the surface. But then back door, when it comes to nighttime or what you got going on behind the scenes, you take on a whole different identity, and you're this person, right? So it'd be very easy.
It's not far-fetched. In the time we live in now and the things that are happening, it is not far-fetched to think that they are the same people.
Yeah.
It is now.
And if we're talking like the 80s and 90s, it'd have been even easier to have a double life because there's no social media. There's no cell phones.
No way to track it. There's no way to know, really. You just kind of take it for face value, and you just have to be like, oh, yeah, they're different people. Whatever.
Well, I saw an interview of Palm Beach Pete where he said he even met Jeffrey Epstein and he partied with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's like, really? And you have this connection?
Yep. And then there's a couple videos where they're both documented that they both stutter the same way. They both stutter with their F's and their R's. They've been caught. So, you do your own research. We're not telling you to believe anything. This is all specifically for entertainment. We're just kind of showing you what's out there. So
yeah, we're just showing some videos that we resonate with. Yep. So I think, for the record, I think Epstein's alive. He's probably Palm Beach Pete, and he's probably rubbing it in our face and laughing.
Yep, wouldn't
laughing
surprise
all the way
me
to
one
the
bit.
bank.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Laughing all the way back to his island.
Oh, yeah.
You still can't go to the island.
Nope.
They're still workers.
There's still workers there, still running the show, so pretty sad.
What can we do? We can make videos
Make videos like this, bro.
Thank you all for tuning in. We'll have another reaction video soon, and we'll see you all next time.
See you later.